It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
All right, we are welcoming you in, TGIF. We made it to get you to the weekend edition of the PJ Show. Big program today. Lots of great guests as we get started on this championship weekend around college football. One of the guys that will be taking part in ESPN Plus's coverage is our great friend Rene Ingolia from ESPN. We'll get to Rene in just a second, but quickly want to tell you we'll have Joe Sampson later in the hour and Brittany Hoyt, my colleague from ESPN Plus, coming up to talk Pirate volleyball and women's basketball, which her and I will be working tonight and Sunday, respectively. All right, Rene on the phone with us from New York. I don't know if he's in the city or not, but he's in New York. Rene will be taking part in the 2024 American Football Championship pregame show presented by Exchange Military Discount. Takes place tonight from Mikey Stadium in West Point. Maria Trivelpiece, Lishay Duzable, and Rene. Who knew Rene would have the easiest to pronounce name of those people? Preview the championship matchup between Tulane and Army. Pre-game coverage at 6:45 Eastern on ESPN Plus. Of course, the championship game tonight on ABC, at 8 o'clock. Rene, you made it through the season, my man, and bowl season right around the corner, but duty calls tonight in chilly West Point.
Absolutely, PJ. Good to be back on with you. And actually, I'm in Jersey. I'm just over the border in New Jersey. Everything's kind of connected here, as you know, but but not far from West Point. Looking forward to it. Very cold. Our set is outside, so although I grew up about 3 hours from here in Western New York, I live in Florida now, as you know, and probably a lot of your listeners know. My blood is thinned a lot, so I have a lot of layers, and I'm not ashamed to say we asked for heaters under our desk. Don't know if we're going to get them, but it's going to be a cool one tonight. But what a great matchup. Really looking forward to it. And one of the most iconic venues in all of college sports, really, not just college football, Mikey Stadium. So really looking forward to this one.
I find it remarkable that you have Army in the championship game, their first year stepping up from being an independent to a conference. First time in 20-some years they've played in conference play. And then SMU, out of the American into the ACC. They find themselves playing tomorrow in Charlotte in the championship game. These are two very underrated stories, in my opinion, in college football this year. In other words, I don't think the two programs are getting enough respect because of what they've accomplished, because it's pretty remarkable.
Oh, I agree. And it just shows you how quickly things can turn for the good in college football. And so I worked the American Athletic Conference media days, as you know, and I remember looking at the media votes for, the media predictions, and there was one vote for Army to win it. And I kind of scoffed at it, right? Kind of laughed at first year in, and, they had lost to UMass last year. And I'm thinking, wow, but guess what? That media member was on the money because, they turned it around. And so Army, all the academies are much different in this wacky world of college football because they're not affected by the portal, right? Like they can lose players, but no one's transferring in to the academies. But that's a good thing in that you can build that culture we always hear about because guys aren't leaving. And like Bryson Daly, their quarterback, he's been there. He's sat as a freshman. He's watched older players above him. He's learned the system. So there's that continuity. And, boy, they took that step this year. And to your point, they're in the championship game. Now, I had them earlier in the year, and I remember talking to them. That was their biggest thing when I talked to the players was, one, now we can play for a championship. And the next sentence was, and we have a path to make it to the playoff, which they were in that conversation. And they're still kind of on it in the periphery. And then SMU, I had them last year as well. And, they won the American last year, and now they have a chance to win the ACC in consecutive years. And Rhett Lashley has done an incredible job there. And that's a little different in that, there's a lot of money involved more so where they are in terms of transfer portal, NIL, getting players in, and he's done a nice job adding pieces to that team. And, excited for them as well. But, boy, Army, what a job they've done. And, of course, we haven't even mentioned Tulane, who's back in the championship game once again.
Yeah. Want to stay with Army here because what Memphis did to beat Tulane on Thanksgiving night was run the ball effectively, pounded them 230-plus yards on the ground. And Army has yet to be held for under 200 this year, even in Notre Dame, even in the loss against Notre Dame. Army leads the nation in fewest turnovers. Is Tulane susceptible to the run game, or was the Memphis thing an outlier? Because I know this Tulane defense can rise to the occasion. It seems to me, and it's not so much about time of possession, but if Army's able to run the ball effectively and shorten the game, that creates an advantage for the Black Knights of the Hudson at home.
No, I agree. I had Memphis 3 times this season, and when I watched that game on Thanksgiving night, that by far was Memphis's best game of the season. They were clicking on all cylinders. I just think it's one of those games where they just came out ready to play, and for whatever reason, and you could, there's rumors swirling out there, and that John Summerall is being, well, it's not really rumors. There's no doubt he's being courted by other schools because he's one of the best young coaches in all college football. Does that, play into this? Ironically, I played in the Tulane last year because the exact same thing happened to him. Willie Fritz left after the championship game, and it was swirling around. I just think Memphis played a great game last week, and Tulane just really wasn't ready. But also to your point, yes, Army, we know what this is the great thing about this game. There's no secrets. No one's coming out. Army's not coming out and saying, we're going to throw the ball all of a sudden. Right now, Bryson Daly is an efficient passer, but they're going to run the ball. To me, this game is won on first down. If Tulane can hold Army to 1 or 2 yards on first down, that means the defense is won. And then you have the upper hand and keep getting them to those third and long spots. Now, I will say this, UTSA kind of did a nice job with that against Army last week, and Bryson Daly hit some passes. So it'll be interesting. But, yes, they want to shorten the game. Now, the other interesting thing is Tulane really does the same thing Army does. Obviously, they don't run triple option like Army, but they want to run the ball with Mekhi Hughes, control the line of scrimmage, and then take play-action shots down the field. Army runs the ball with their option, but then they will take some shots down the field too. So, if both these offenses kind of go the way they want to go, this could be a 2-hour and 30-minute game. We'll see. But I expect a different Tulane team tonight, PJ, than we saw against Memphis.
They are undefeated when they've run for over 150 yards this year, 0-3 when they have not. I'm speaking of Tulane there. You mentioned early downs. Tulane is also really, really good on third down this year, and they'll run it on third down too. They're not afraid to do that. So I think this is, as you say, it's compelling when you have two teams that are so effective running the ball. Does the third phase of the game factor into it, especially in a weather game? Maybe which team is able to generate something through the air on a big explosion play or just any kind of explosion play. Is that the difference in a game like this potentially?
Yeah, I do. I agree with you 100%. Special teams always plays a big deal, but I think tonight, now, it was really windy in Michie Stadium yesterday. That wind is not supposed to be here tonight. So the wind, I think, plays the biggest havoc. Yeah, it's cold. You got to suck it up. But, yeah, even with the cold, you got to give that advantage to Army. But Tulane, you got to come up here and play in 25-degree weather. But the wind, I think, is going to die down, which is good. And the explosive plays, huge. Which team can limit the other one to the fewest explosive plays? I agree. And, I always talk about the game in the trenches. Here's a little stat for you. So the American Athletic Conference, as all the conferences are coming out now with their honors, season honors. 10 offensive linemen in this game, obviously. 5 from Army, 5 from Tulane. First and second team, all AAC, right? There's 10 spots. 9 of them are in this game today, offensive line. 5 from Army, 4
Wow.
for Tulane. So really good offensive lines going at it. This game, again, it's going to be won in the trenches. Who can control the line of scrimmage? Army's defense is really good, PJ. It's underrated. Everyone wants to talk about the running of Army, and rightfully so, and what Bryson Daly did, Offensive Player of the Year in the conference. But the defense, I think, is underrated. Another little side note: the defensive coordinator for Army, Nate Woody, is kind of the mentor of the defensive coordinator for Tulane, Greg Gasparato. Greg Gasparato used to coach at Army. They know each other really well. So these teams know each other well. So it should be a really, really fun game tonight.
Yeah, really interesting. Rene Ingolia with us. He'll be on the pregame show for the AAC Championship game tonight, 6:45 on ESPN Plus, if you want to check it out there. I want to ask you about one other game tonight, only because of the implications of a conference championship. There would be a very realistic possibility the winner of this gets into the playoff, and that's UNLV and Boise. How do you see that one turning out in the Mountain West tonight?
Yeah, so I had Boise early on. I actually had Boise week 1, so it's been a long time ago since I've seen Boise, and they've just kept rolling ever since that game with Ash and Genty. Haven't seen a lot of UNLV. I watched, because I have friends that coach at Syracuse, so I watched the Syracuse game. That was early in the season. Yep. Syracuse actually beat UNLV in that game. But no one's talked about UNLV, right, in the playoff. I mean, you literally have not mentioned, I think Kirk Herbstreit brought that point last week in game day. No one's talking about UNLV. Well, conventional wisdom would tell you they beat Boise. They're in now, though. But we know what the committee. Listen, with Army sitting there at 24, UNLV at 22. Obviously, UNLV beats Boise. That's a real good data point with a championship win over a high-ranked Boise team. But if Army beats Tulane, that's a really good win too. And we've seen, right? We've seen with Florida State last year. We've seen the committee make some moves in that last selection on Sunday. So it would be really interesting if UNLV maybe, wins a tough game against Boise, maybe a last-second game, or just it's a real good game, but they come out on top, and Army maybe comes in and controls the game tonight and has a decisive win over Tulane. Would the committee bounce them ahead of UNLV? It's fascinating. Probably not, but I think it's definitely up for discussion. So if you're Army, I don't think you're out of it yet for the playoff. You got to play this thing out tonight and both these games and see what happens. But the way Boise State is rolling, I just don't know if they can be stopped. But we'll see.
It's the American Football Championship pregame show presented by Exchange Military Discount. Takes place Friday night from Mikey Stadium, West Point, and it'll be Maria Trivelpiece, Lishay Duzable, and the one and only Rochester Rocket, Rene Ingolia. Pregame, 6:45, ESPN Plus, the game tonight on ABC at 8 o'clock. All right, Rene, thanks a lot. Always great to catch up with you, my friend. We'll talk to you about the bowl selection and all of that. Catch up with you sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Busy bowl season, so yeah, call me back. Patrick, thank you. Happy holidays, my friend, and we'll catch up down the road.
The great Rene Ingolia with us here on the PJ Show this Friday. Stay tuned when we come back. Brittany Hoyt will join us to preview ECU and UConn in volleyball tonight, and also take a look at ECU's basketball game as the women tried to get back to their winning ways Sunday against Elon.
Download the new IBX Media app now and get the show for your ears and eyes.
Doesn't it look great on me?
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
All right, a lot happening in sports, and tonight Rose football will be playing. Pilk, is that game on? It's here, isn't it? 94.3 The Game?
It is on 94.3,
Yep. Got Rose at 71st down in Fayetteville. Winner will get the winner of Havelock and Jacksonville. All right, so join Croft and Coach tonight. They'll be on the air about 6:50 for the game at 7 o'clock. Also happening tonight, ECU in the round of 16, the second round of the NIVC. Second year the Pirates have advanced that far. They're at home tonight against UConn, a team that's won 25 matches. Brittany Hoyt joins us. She will be on the call with a plucky upstart named Patrick Johnson at the top of the hour on that. Also, Brittany cannot get away from me. She will be working with me Sunday, 1 o'clock on ESPN Plus, also when ECU women's basketball takes on Elon. We're pretty great to have you on. Always good to talk to you.
Always good. We're the dynamic duo, that's for sure.
Hey, so we had ECU, a little sluggish
Mhm,
start against Winthrop yesterday,
mhm.
but got it together, and the talent kind of shined through, and Winthrop faded as that match went on. Pirates dominated the final set and claiming victory. They're without one of their top players, so how do you think ECU adjusted in that match yesterday?
Yeah, they did really well. Obviously, losing production of Angeles already, their best player, preseason player of the year for the American. It was tough. I think they started really sluggish, really slow. Lost that first set, super close at the end, but that second set, they came alive. And what was so great was just seeing the production from so many different players on the night. 5 different players had double-digit kills. So I think at the right time, people stepped up. They were able to produce and just contribute, and they were consistent, and they were able to be dominant all the way in that fourth set.
Yeah, and you on Alderete didn't have a huge offensive year, but
Right.
defensively, she did so much for this team this year. So, from the defensive
Mhm.
standpoint, how do you think that loss affects the team, and who needs to step up in that role?
Yeah, so last night Ellie Pate was able to play 6 rotations around and she got a double double, which was big for her. I think that's been a big challenge. Coach Adler Augustine trying to get her passing better in serve receive and also defensively. So I think she stepped up. I think it was great to see Taryn Gilreth, who made the all freshman team. She's one of the 2 setters. She had a double double. So it was one of those things that with the subtraction of Angeles, different people were able to kind of step up and it was fun. There was so much energy on the court last night. And I think they were able just to see the belief in each other like, hey, we can do this even with our best player out.
Adler Augustine has done a really nice job of building the roster. A
Mhm,
lot of explosive offensive players on the outside as pins.
mhm.
But this was a cultural reclamation project, and then the talent piece has come along. Really, what they've done the last 2 years is pretty remarkable, and they're still relatively young.
Oh, absolutely. He's done a great job recruiting. And what I love to say is he was able to finally see that belief in them. I think taking them to the postseason last year, it just gives you something else to fight for. And they were so close. And even this year in the American Conference tournament, they had the belief that they could make a run. And then they lost in the fifth set to Florida Atlantic by 2. And they were ahead 14-8 in that fifth set, which was insane. So I think for them, they know what they're capable of. The talent is there, and he's done a great job just changing the culture, changing the belief in each other. And as you see, one of their setters is a freshman, and she made the all freshman team. So the future is really bright for Adler in this program.
So they'll get UConn tonight at 6. Again, this is in the NIVC Super 16, second round of that event, essentially.
Mhm.
And it's going to be ECU and UConn, a couple of teams that were one-time conference brethren. They come in with 25 victories this year. They got off to a magnificent start,
Mhm.
lost some tight matches to some really good competition in the Big East, and they are very, very defensive. At least that's my observation of them. What's the scout on UConn?
Yeah, so they're really big. So they have a really big front line as well. So even like when you look at them as they walk into the gym, they're definitely a high major looking program. But what I love too is this team only had 8 wins the year before. So they've done a phenomenal job completely flipping the script with this team. They were last in the Big East a year ago. So totally changed the trajectory of their program. They've done an amazing job. But they have some high major players. Emma Workmeister, she has an unbelievable serve. It is no joke. She needs to be clocked. It is a dynamic power jump serve that she went on runs last night. So she is definitely will make her presence known from the service line. And this team, they rank top 25 in the nation with service aces. So behind the line there, and then their presence at the net, they really dominated the blocking last night when they played against Mercer. So it's going to be a big challenge. They're bigger. They definitely play a fast-paced game. East Carolina is going to have to win that serve pass game because if they don't get a good first ball and a good pass, they're not going to be able to get in system.
Brittany Hoyt, ESPN Plus volleyball and women's basketball and overall basketball analyst, joins us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Let's talk. All right, before we get into basketball, what does it come down to tonight, do you think, in this match?
Yeah, it's going to come down to East Carolina. How are they going to be able to pass? So they're amazing. UConn is really good at that service pressure. So that serve pass game is going to be imperative. And that was a weakness of them last night, just getting out of system in that first and second set. They're going to have to win that serve pass game. The second thing is they're going to have more people, 4+. I loved last night having 5 people in double-digit kills. They're going to have that production to be just as successful as they were last night. And then their block is going to have to slow down. UConn, they have big hitters. Their middles are really, really strong, and they're really effective.
All right, basketball will be there on Sunday on ESPN Plus at 1 o'clock as ECU women take on the Elon Phoenix, who have really struggled here the last couple of seasons under Charlotte Smith. But for Coach Kim, right now it seems like there is an offensive a little bit of an offensive slog for this team, just not performing or taking care of the basketball. The execution seems to be lacking right now.
Yeah, so coming off of their trip and Thanksgiving out, they played UNLV and also Montana State. Just way too many turnovers. So 50+ turnovers in 2 games. It's difficult to score when you're losing that many possessions in a ball game. So they've got to take care of the ball. I think they're difficult. They're struggling with a true point guard. Sania Johnson is a returner, a leader, but not a natural point guard. Not someone who just can go downhill, get to the cup, and then create opportunities. So they're just kind of struggling to find and fill that piece, right? Danae McNeil, 25+ points a game last year. So that offensive piece. And then Mai Joyner, who is phenomenal in the post. And it's just that consistency piece for her. Can she be consistent game in and game out? But yeah, it just comes down to taking care of the ball and then who can be that consistent scoring piece.
Seems like they'll have an opportunity against an Elon team that has struggled, but this seems also more to be about ECU on Sunday than it is going to be about Elon.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I think it's still early in the season. We're a month into this women's basketball season. They're adjusting to lineups and substitutions. I think Coach Kim McNeil is trying to be patient as well as a head coach too. Who's that first guard sub? Who's that first post sub? So she's still kind of working through some of those kinks and trying to see who is going to step up, who's going to rise to the occasion to have those double-digit numbers each and every single night. And that's what she's looking for. But no doubt, I think going into Sunday, if I'm a head coach, I'm focusing on my side of the ball, especially coming out of exam week. Their brains are literally so scattered. It's going to be less about Elon and what they're running man-to-man and what offensive sets, and it's going to be more about East Carolina taking care of the basketball, get the ball inside in the paint. That is their strength. That is who they are. They have so much size. And then just getting those post players to really chin the ball, look at all of their options, and see if they can get to the cup.
All right. We will have volleyball for you at the top of the hour on ESPN Plus from the NIVC at Williams Arena, Minges Coliseum, UConn and East Carolina. And Brittany and I will have that for you. And then we will be together on Sunday, Brittany and I will, for ESPN Plus. And that'll be ECU women taking on Elon. Good stuff, Brittany. We'll see you in a little bit.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, awesome to have Brittany Hoyt with us. Let's go now to Philip, the ref Pilkington, with the 94-3 The Game 2-minute drill, sports flash update, and Pirate report.
Thank you, Patrick. Starting in Pirate Athletics tonight, the volleyball team will be in action against UConn as their second round of the NIVC at 6 o'clock inside Williams Arena, Minges Coliseum after knocking off Winthrop last night in the first round. The basketball team will be back in action tomorrow as they travel down to South Carolina to take on the Gamecocks. They try and bounce back after a tough loss against UNC Wilmington last time out. Here's Coach Schwartz's initial thoughts after that contest.
We went to the zone. We cut it to 5, and, we were able to make it a 2-possession game. And, we kind of the story of the game for us was turnovers in the paint and at the basket. I mean, it started in the first half, and and then it was exacerbated by the amount of offensive rebounds that they got.
You can hear tomorrow's game right here on 94.3 The Game, our sister station 107.9 at 1:30 for that just after 2 o'clock tip. The women's basketball team will be back in action on Sunday as they host Elon at 1 o'clock. They try and snap a 2-game skid as they lost both their games last week out in Vegas. Last night, the Carolina Hurricanes snapped a 3-game losing skid with a 5-3 win over the Colorado Avalanche. They'll travel up to the island tomorrow at 5 to take on the New York Islanders. Conference championship games start tonight on the gridiron. Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State will do battle at 7 o'clock. UNLV and Boise, for lack of a better term, is a play-in game to the college football playoff. That game will be at 8 in Boise, and then Army will host Tulane at 8 o'clock as well. That game is at West Point. That'll do it for 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. We're going to take a time out here on the Patrick Johnson Show and be joined by Joe Sampson on the other side.
Do you have something you need to get off your chest? Get off your chest.
I am not here for rage. I'm here for revenge.
Did your favorite team blow another game?
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Or is there just something that's driving you crazy?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
It's time to let it all out.
You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
With another edition of Hold My Beer.
Hold my beer.
You know, everything I could possibly bring up, again, would get me in real trouble. So I don't know if this is a wise idea for me to participate in Hold My Beer.
This is always your idea, and then you don't want to participate.
I was about to say, this is always Patrick's cop-out line. You know, I can't say what I want to say.
I can't. One day I will. One day I won't give a damn.
Right,
but I can't say what I want to say.
Joe
Sampson. If Joe Sampson is with us, Philip the Ref Pilkington producing as well. All right, who wants to go first here? Pilk, you always have something. So, what's your Hold My Beer, Philip? I know you've got something.
Yeah, well,
Actually, I do have something, but go ahead. Go ahead.
I was kind of complaining to Patrick about mine before Joe signed on here. What up with the odds makers making Travis Hunter the favorite? I mean, come on. Anybody who knows ball knows that Ashton Jeanty deserves the Heisman. I have like 2 friends who are morons who think Travis Hunter should get it. Everyone I've talked to who's played the game, who's coached the game, who has deeply studied the game knows that Ashton Jeanty is the best player in college football. My roommate brought up a good point to me the other day. You put Ashton Jeanty on Colorado, they are a college football playoff team. You put Travis Hunter on Boise State would have lost to Georgia Southern without Ashton Jeanty and probably lost a couple other games, and we wouldn't even be talking about them right now. They would just be hoping that they could beat UNLV and get a little trophy that says Mountain West champion, Ashton Jeanty, Heisman Trophy.
Now, in fairness, you said the media, but the media is behind this. It's Vegas who is against it. And I would only submit to you, Philip, that Vegas has not built all of these palaces for hotels and casinos and now stadiums.
On the favorite.
By getting it wrong. Yeah,
that's fair.
By getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Vegas knows. Oh, Vegas knows.
So
Vegas does not know.
That means he's going to win because
that's
they've
a
got
load of
such
malarkey.
Minus money. No,
Vegas
nobody's
keeps
betting on
favoring
him.
the Jets.
Yeah.
Vegas knows nothing. Sorry.
Sorry, we're leaking into Joe's time.
No. That's a completely different rant.
Oh gosh, that's for segment 2.
I have one. At the risk of taking Joe's, but Joe's always got more than one in the chamber.
I don't think you'll have mine.
I read a hilarious meme about what Major League Baseball will look like in the year 2027, 28. The games will be 3 innings. Pitchers will throw 12 pitches. If you have fun, you'll be executed on the spot. You can just bat whoever you want to bat whenever. This golden at-bat rule is one of the worst things I've ever heard in my entire life. You know, the ghost runner, okay, I understand the rationale. I don't like it, but I understand the rationale.
Okay.
You know, I don't like it, but I understand the
No,
rationale.
I don't understand it because it's just Groundhog Day over and over and over and over and over again. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting here in the 16th inning, and they got to put Aaron Judge on second base because he was the last out. And all of a sudden, he scores, and then the Red Sox come up, and then Rafael Devers scores, and we go to the 17th inning. There's no continuity. It's ridiculous. You want to move it?
Oh, it is. It's absurd.
We get past the 14th inning, put the guy on third. Put the guy on third at this point.
Right.
I don't care.
Yeah, well, that makes more sense, but the Golden at Bat thing would just rob baseball of just beautiful historic moments that have occurred. Do you think, Atlanta Braves fans, do you think that who was the guy who had the base hit that sent him to the World Series for the first time, Pilk? I know this was before you were born. But where Sid Bream
I'm not as good
scored-
at baseball history as I am football history. That's a Joe or a Casey.
You know who would
question.
know? You know who would know? Cole Barnhill.
No, not baseball. That's the one sport he doesn't know.
He knows everything.
Oh, he doesn't
know baseball. He knows everything but baseball.
Well, point is,
No, I
I'm
still
going to
give him a
Google
shout-out.
search it here.
Google search it.
Our guy Casey would definitely know. Between
Casey
Joe
would
and
know.
Casey,
Casey
one of them
would
know.
Casey would know all day. Casey would know
Casey,
all day.
Pancake, and then myself.
All
third
right,
on the
hang
list.
on. Oh, Francisco Cabrera. How can I forget that? Francisco Cabrera.
Very
We never
rememberable
would have
name.
had Francisco Cabrera. They'd have put up Terry Pendleton or whoever. I mean, they would.
Aaron Boone
Ron
definitely wouldn't
Gant.
have been anything.
Yeah,
Would
Aaron
have
Boone
pinch
would
hit
have
him
gotten
immediately
pulled.
in the golden at bat rule.
I mean, just think Kurt Gibson. There's just great moments in baseball. The thing about baseball that's so great is when you have somebody. I mean, Ozzie Smith hit a home run to win a playoff game, and he had very few in his career. But I mean, so you're robbed of these great moments with this ridiculous golden at bat concept. So
Tommy
hold my
Edman this
beer.
year alone for the Dodgers. I mean, he was a utility guy who came up at I think it was in like 325 in the playoffs. You mean to tell me they were going to pinch hit him? And also, what if Ohtani would have gotten out, and then the golden bat rule? Oh, he goes right back up.
Yeah, that's just you're bastardizing the game. Pilk and I said this week on the show.
Do pitchers get an
They
oopsie?
they are not learning at anything from NASCAR. NASCAR tried to grow its sport, was organically growing it, tried then to accelerate the growth, and they ended up not growing it, and they've ended up turning off longtime fans. And I don't think they've really recovered. They're better off than they were a decade or so ago in some respects.
Yeah.
But they really have never recovered. Baseball is on the verge of not being able to recover from this stupidity.
Yeah, the only way the golden bat rule would be okay is you remember, Joe, when we were kids and on NFL Street, you got the game breaker mode.
Yes.
If they did MLB Street and the game breaker mode was the golden bat rule on a video game, I think I would be okay with it. Other than that, dumbest rule ever. Give it to me on backyard baseball or something. Implement it in the video games for the kids. Now, not the show, not real baseball video games, but yeah, backyard baseball, street baseball, what's the stick and ball that they played in the streets of Brooklyn back in the day? Stickball. Yeah,
Quite literally
stickball.
stickball.
I'm okay with it, but come on, this is a real sport here.
He named
Really
the
was searching for that one, huh,
utilities.
Philip?
He named the utilities used in the task, but not the task.
It's okay.
All right.
To be fair,
Joey
I mean, every
football.
American sport besides baseball really actually doesn't line up with what the heck they use. We don't shoot into baskets anymore. Lord knows what hockey actually translates to. Football is because it was pig's feet way back when, and now nobody uses their feet but the kickers, and I hate kickers. So, I mean, it's a fair point. Who would have thought stickball was actually stickball?
Fair enough.
That's
All
not
right,
my hold my beer, though.
Okay. Although that would have been a good one. What's your hold my beer?
It would have been. Hold my beer. I am sick and tired of people getting onto this agenda and this upright thought that anybody gets a say besides the man pulling the strings in any organization. Everybody's talking about the Jets. And first off, yeah, everybody wants to talk about the Jets because of Woody Johnson and Chris Johnson and whether or not Ambassador Johnson's going overseas somewhere else. But this innate thing that people are trying to point out that his son has to say because he's scrolling through Twitter is absolutely preposterous. George Caskey has been the Bears owner for God knows how long. The Caskey family has run that thing into the ground completely. You think their little 13-year-old who's scrolling through TikTok is making free agent decisions? Absolutely not. Woody Johnson refuses to hand over anything to his children, and they're full grown. His son is like 48 or 50 years old. You don't think at one point he wants to pass the torch, but you think that there are people in the New York media like Diana who really think that some 13-year-old is in the war room scrolling through TikTok deciding whether or not the Jets are going to draft a quarterback? Absolutely not. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
Who's Diana?
Diana Rossini. She's the lead beat reporter that the Jets despise.
Yeah.
I would feed her bad information too. She's terrible.
As long as you don't do it to our guy Antoine Staley, we're good. We like Staley.
Staley's good. Like Staley.
Yeah, we haven't
like
talked
Staley.
to Staley in a while. Yeah, Staley's solid. ECU guy.
Well, if the Jets were above 500, we'd probably have him on the show.
That's
but
fair.
We get
point.
one Jets guest a week, and that's enough with how bad they are.
That's the guy
point.
wearing the green sweatshirt. All right, when we come back, we will pick some games in college football. How about that, gentlemen?
Let's do
Maybe
it.
pros.
Good.
I don't know. We'll do that. More Joey football when we come back on the Patrick Johnson Show.
Hey now.
We roll on a Friday right after this.
And now, the stunning conclusion of the show. It's the P-Man here on 94.3 The Game.
So there was this little rumor kicking around that it's going to be NC State in the Military Bowl. And it may very well be NC State in the Military Bowl.
I don't see it.
But, but I mean, here's the thing. You're not going to know anything because they have to let these championship games play out.
That too.
That's part of the horse trading. We're not going to know anything till late Saturday. I don't think. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I mean,
there are chances you could, but like between the ACC and the AAC this year, with I think it's like 6 or 7 automatic qualifiers for a bowl game.
Yeah.
And then the playoff. The playoff's going to have a huge implication with the ACC.
And it does look like that that ECU is destined for the Military Bowl. I mean, that I think is a pretty good certainty at this point. Joe, you went there, didn't get to play because Boston College pulled out. But yeah, to me, I think this is the better of the two options we're hearing between Myrtle Beach and the military. I think the military is the better option. What say you, Joey Football, Joe Sampson?
Without question. I mean, the Military Bowl is one of the better bowl games the AAC can go to. I think my junior year, it was the second best game you could go to by ranking. I think Fenway was higher than that because I want to say SMU went to Fenway that year, and then it got canceled because Cincinnati was in the playoff. So it's a very good bowl game. It's got a great sponsor to it. It's got a lot of great buzz around it. The only issue we had was we were coming right on the back end of COVID in 21. So a lot of the world was still shut down, not to mention Washington, D.C. But it was good times. It's a good little spot. I mean, spending Christmas in a hotel room is never fun, but it's nice when you're in D.C. with some scenic views like that and the lights and the big tree. And we got to go see the White House. Didn't go in the White House, obviously, but we got to see the White House. We went to all the landmarks. It was fun.
You guys were in Washington, though, right? You guys were in Washington,
we
right?
were at the D.C. hotel, yeah.
So
Boston College stayed at the one in Annapolis.
I'm guessing Biden called us Eastern Carolina at the time when he waved back to you guys because he's so confused.
We didn't even get an appearance.
He wasn't in office at that. Trump was
he
still
was,
in office.
Yeah, he was in office. It was his run of inauguration.
Yeah, because you got to think that was the 21 season. He got elected November
21. That's right. Why did I think it was 2020?
No, we didn't play a bowl game in 2020. We beat SMU in the final game of the regular season.
Yeah, I'm losing my mind.
Talked a lot of junk to Shane Buechele that day.
Did you?
Oh yeah,
Buechele.
Me and Jeremy Lewis.
All right. So we got the AAC championship game tonight. It is going to be the Army West Point Black Knights against the Tulane Green Wave. Who do you like and why, Joey Football?
It's Army. It's got to be Army, especially when you get into this late of the season. It's the teams like that run the triple option that you never want to see, especially an Army team that's been so prolific on offense this year and has done so many crazy things. Tulane, I just don't think has enough firepower to try and beat them at their own game. And everything you're going to want to see from Army is going to happen. They're going to run the ball. They're going to eat the clock. They're going to lead time of possession probably 13 minutes, but Tulane's just going to score 28 points. Army's going to score 35, and that's going to be it.
Pilk?
Tulane is going to fill helmet to helmet, or I guess we can't do that anymore, shoulder pad to shoulder pad at 20-some degrees, and they're going to immediately be frostbitten. They're going to have no idea what hit them. I think they're going to be a little shocked because of the weather. It's going to cause Army to get a hot start, and when Army or Navy gets a hot start, you are hosed. Give me the Black Knights. I think they get up early, about 2 scores. And then, like you said, Tulane keeps it 50-50 there on out. But I'm thinking a touchdown, maybe 2. Could be looking at a 35-21 even if Army gets out to too hot of a start.
UNLV Boise State tonight in the Mountain West. Who you got and why, Joey Football?
It's Boise State. I'd love to sit here and lie to the people and say UNLV is going to make it competitive. I think Boise State's playing with too much right now. They know exactly what they have to do in order to get into the playoff. And with a win tonight, they're looking at a bye. They're looking at a top 4 seed in the new expansion of the college football playoff. And I just think that kind of thing, and Genty still trying to make his case, even though he should be the rightful Heisman Trophy winner, they're going to run the ball all over UNLV. And they just don't have enough offense ever since that quarterback sat out.
Pilk?
Gut feeling here. Hot take. Boise didn't look great against UNLV last time. They probably should have lost San Jose State a few weeks ago. They've not been as dominant as they should be. And the last time the Boise State Broncos controlled their own destiny to make it to the championship game was back in the BCS days. A team from the state of Nevada, at the time was the Wolfpack of Nevada, came in there with Colin Kaepernick, beat them on a last-second field goal. It happens again. This is Boise's finally chance to go for a national championship. I think they blow it. Give me the Rebels.
How much time we got, Pilk? Because that'll determine how many more games I go with.
About a little less than 4.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes.
Okay. Let's do the ACC. Clemson and SMU. They play tomorrow night on ABC from Charlotte. Who do you like and why, Joey Football?
It's Clemson. It's a team that's been there before, understands the weight of it. SMU, I just think they got hot at the right time, but they haven't played any talent yet, haven't played a top 10 opponent or a ranked opponent in that matter. And I think Dabo just knows exactly what he has to do. He's got name, image, and likeness of God on his side, and God loves football. So give me the Tigers.
Yeah, SMU's best win is Duke, and Duke, despite being 9-3, is not a great football team. They just find ways to win. Look, Clemson's not going to lose back-to-back weeks. They know they have a rabbit's foot up their rear end that they got here. They're going to take advantage of that. They're going to count their blessings. Exactly. God's going to be on their side. Give me the Tigers.
All right, Georgia, Texas tomorrow afternoon at 4 in the SEC from Atlanta, I believe.
Yeah, in Atlanta.
Go ahead, Joe.
I'm going to go Georgia. It's even though they're the away team, even though everything's stacked against them, they look too good against Texas the first time out. I think Texas just doesn't have that kind of beef between the trenches, and that's what has been the breaking point for them this season. When Georgia gets those hands on everybody and runs the ball, Georgia wins a lot. So give me the Bulldogs, even though Sid from Ice Age is under center for them. I like Kirby Smart in this situation.
They're the away team, but Atlanta's a hell of a lot closer to Athens than it is to Austin. They've already won in Austin. They were singing on the plane on the way to Austin, their little goofy song. They're going to be doing it all game long in Atlanta and all the way back to Athens when they clinch the number 2 seed in the college football playoff with a win tonight or tomorrow night.
In the Boar 10 tomorrow night, Penn State and Oregon, number 1 against the alleged number 3. Joey Football.
The fighting Nishad Struthers. Give me the Ducks. They've looked great all season, and James Franklin doesn't win big games.
Death, taxes, and James Franklin not winning big games. Only 3 things guaranteed in life. Give me the Ducks.
Oregon's going to roll.
Yeah, that game's going to be terrible.
Oregon is going to roll.
All right. Get the mess beat out of them.
Good stuff, Joey Football. Thank you very much. We'll know what's going on with the Bowls, and we'll talk about it when we know next week for sure. So thank you, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
The great Joe Sampson. Thanks to him. Joey Football with us here. Thanks also to Rene Ingolia and also to Brittany Hoyt. Brittany and I will be on in just a matter of minutes from Williams Arena Minges Coliseum for second-round action in the NIVC. ECU hosting UConn on ESPN+. I'll be back on ESPN+ Sunday at 1 for women's basketball. ECU taking on Elon. Back in the morning Monday on Talk of the Town, and then back here from Tiebreakers, the Patrick Johnson Show ahead of Inside Pirate Athletics on Monday. Pirate basketball tomorrow. They take on South Carolina at 2 o'clock. 94.3, 107.9. Rose on 94.3, 7 o'clock tonight in the fourth round of the state football playoffs. For Philip the Ref Pilkington, I'm Patrick Johnson. Have a great and safe weekend, everybody.